Good afternoon, students. Let us start today's class. We are starting with experiment number 2. Write an HDL code to discover the functions of a full adder using 3 modeling styles. So, software required is Xilinx ISC 12.1 and iSIM simulator. You can use any simulator. There is another simulator called Model Sim that also can be integrated into Xilinx also. It can be interfaced. Whereas iSIM is the built-in simulator inside Xilinx. So you know about the theory of full adder already. It is a combinational circuit that adds two 1-bit numbers along with the carry and produces a sum and a carry output. You know this truth table. For sum it is 01101001 and for carry it is 00010111. So this is how we have an expression for sum as A XOR B XOR C, and for carry we have a sum as AB plus BC plus AC. So first let us see the data flow model. In the theory class, I had told you that data flow model in general is concurrent and the data flow model utilizes the algebraic expressions. So we can see here VHDL program, library IEEE, use IEEE dot standard underscore logic underscore 1164 dot all and entity FA underscore DFM. This DFM stands for data flow model, FA is full adder. Ports are AB and CI input ports, S and CO are output ports, that is the end of the entity. Then in the architecture you can see F1, architecture F1 of FA underscore DFM. We have purposely kept this name F1 because we will have multiple architectures here now today. We are going to see the full adder with other types of descriptions also. So architecture begin, S is assigned to A XOR B XOR Ci and CO is assigned to A and B or B and Ci or A and Ci. This is AB plus BC plus AC as a Boolean expression. And F1. This is the VHDL program where you can see this whole program is of a concurrent execution. And inside the architecture, the relationship between input and output are defined. And this is a data flow model because it is using algebraic expressions. Later on, I'm going to show you the demo by executing the full adder program. So the test bench code for the data flow modeling using VHDL, we can give all the values for A and B right from 000 till 111. Here some stimuli are given and after each stimulus, one wait statement is given. This is with respect to VHDL. This is quite simple. I don't think you will have any questions. Now let us see the Verilog program. Verilog program module FA underscore DFM. Here we should have a port list. In VHDL, we can declare the port list inside the entity, whereas in Verilog, as soon as we start a module's declaration, we should list the ports because the module can be utilized by other modules as well. So it is A, B, Ci, S and CO. Inputs are A, B, Ci. Output is S and CO. And you can see directly assign S is assigned to A XOR B XOR Ci and CO is assigned to AB plus BC plus AC, that is the end module. As you already know, in any concurrent program, for a concurrent assignment, we should use this keyword assign. More about this assignment statements will be discussed in the theory classes only. Now, in the test bench code for the data flow modeling, we can have this stimuli right from 000 till 111. Now, what I will do is, let me copy this program from the lab manual. Let me copy this. And I'll paste it later on into Xilinx tool. Now let me stop sharing this lab manual and I'll start sharing the ISE. Okay, I have shared the ISC now. Here you can see I have already pasted this program, that is Verilog's full adder program, that is pasted here. So I have saved it as logicgates.view only. So let me change it, because I used the same project which I used last time. So let me close this. I'll show you how to have a new file. See, this is the button where you can click a new file, or you can go to file and you can click on new also. Once you click on new, it is asking text file. I will click on OK. Now you can see this window opened. When this window opened, I have copied today's file now. Now I will save it. So I will save it as, today it is fa underscore dfm.v. I will save it this way. Now this file is saved. Let me come from the implementation to the simulation. Now here I had that old test bench belonging to the previous class. Let me remove that. I am removing that. Now you can see there is only this project name. Project name, let it be logic gates only. In each class you need not create a new project, because anyhow this is a lab experiment. If it is a real world bigger project, we can create new projects. Otherwise I am using the same project which I had used in the last class. So let it be that way, doesn't matter. Below that there's a chip. Now I will right click on the chip and I'll click on add source. I'll click on this add source. When I click on add source, it is asking me which file or which source to be chosen. I'll choose this fa underscore dfm.v. Now I'll open this. You can see it is added now. I'll click on OK. Now this file has come here. So now I can click on behavioral check syntax. So syntax check is done and it is showing a green tick mark that the file has no syntax errors. Obviously there will be no syntax errors because I have copied the same program from the lab manual itself, which is a working program. Now for simulating this we require test bench, right? So let me right click on this particular code to click on new source. Okay, I'll show you once again. I'm selecting the Verilog file and I'm right clicking and I'm clicking on new source now. I'm not clicking on add source. Why? Earlier I clicked on add source on the chip. That is because I had already saved this particular file. Now test bench I have not yet created. I will have to create a test bench. So I'll click on new source now. And here I will select a Verilog test fixture. Verilog module already there. There are multiple approaches in this software. If at all you want to come directly to Verilog module also, that is also possible. Without using the editor and adding source, you can click on new source and come to Verilog module also. Multiple options. Outcome is the same. But now I am selecting Verilog test fixture. It is not Verilog module. So let me give the name fa underscore test.v. Let me give that name. And let me give next. And associate source fa underscore dfm is already there in the source there. So let me click on next. Let me click on finish. Now you can see it has automatically created one test bench file fa underscore test.v. You can see automatically the hierarchy got changed. fa underscore test.v has gone up and UUT, that is unit under test, and our full adder program has come down. You can see this. Now this is the file which the Xilinx tool automatically created, and I have discussed this test bench code in the last class also. So here you can see initial begin A is 0, B is 0, C is 0, wait for 100 nanoseconds for global reset to finish and hash 100. Then it is asking add stimulus here. So let me add stimulus here. I'll copy the stimuli from the lab manual now and let me add it. So I added some stimuli. I am indenting it so that it all looks in the same fashion. So you can see here A is 0, B is 0, C is 1, A is 0, 1, some random stimuli are there. Let me arrange them. So what I'll do is I'll add all the stimuli. In the lab manual, all the stimuli were not present. Let me add all the stimuli. Initially, let it be 0, 0, 0. Then let it be 0, 0, 1. Okay. Then it is 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. Anyhow, initially A 0, B 0, C 0 is there. That is why they did not add it once again. They started with 0, 0, 1. Just for clarity, I am adding all the stimuli here. So that is end here now. Add stimulus, all 8 stimuli I have added, then end and end module. Let me save it. Now what I have to do is, see here now, again this question mark is coming because I have added the test bench now. So let me simulate, or let me check syntax for the main module. Let me check syntax for the test bench. You can see that even the test bench green tick mark has come, and even for the main module green tick mark is there. Now, as I have told you in the last class, we cannot simulate the design module because it does not contain the values for inputs. We should always simulate the test bench only. So let me click on simulate behavioral model. Double click on simulate behavioral model, and we are simulating the test bench only. It is also called as the top module. Now simulation is running and it has plotted the output. So let me share, let me stop sharing this ISE and let me now share the waveform window. Now this is the waveform, and I have to click on this football symbol. When I click on the football symbol, you can see initially it is 0, 0, 0 for 100 nanoseconds initially. Then again, we have given the first symbol 0, 0, 0. You can see these all inputs are below and outputs are above. Then it is 0, 0, 1, where carry is 1. You can see the sum is 1. Then it is 0, 1, 0. Again, sum is 1. Here, you can see the sum has become 0 and carry has become 1. You can see in this place also how the values change. And then again it is sum, carry out for the next stimuli. So I'll move from here to here. You can see sum. I'll just see the only keep seeing the sum value 0, 1, 1, 0, and then 1, 0, 0, 1. This is now sum. Whereas carry is 0, 0, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 1, 1. And because in the test bench there is that initial program, it has executed the test bench only once and it has concluded at that 1 microsecond. 1000 nanoseconds is 1 microsecond. You can see here this timing chosen by the plotter is 1 microsecond. As we have given that initial, it has executed until this 900 nanoseconds and it has left it as it is. I had shown you in the last class, if at all we change that initial to always, then again it will simulate once again until that 1 microsecond time is reached. Okay. Now this is the simulated output of the full adder for a data flow model. Any questions here? If you have any questions, you can ask me. If there are no questions, I'll proceed with the other descriptions. So let me stop sharing this waveform window. You have seen the waveform already. and let me share the lab manual again. So I showed you the data flow model. Now let us proceed with the behavioral model. The difference between the behavioral model and the data flow model is that data flow model is actually an arithmetic expression, or it can be a logical expression. Whereas the behavioral model is going to be following a sequence. As told in the theory class, let us say, for example, all combination logic are of concurrent behavior, so they can be described by means of data flow description. But there are many biological processes. All these biological processes follow a sequence. For example, when medicine is induced into the patient's body, there are so many biological or biochemical processes happening inside the body. They are all going to happen in a sequence, one after the other. So there the execution cannot be concurrent. So in such a case, the execution is sequential, and such models are basically behavioral models. In today's experiment, we are modeling both data flow behavioral along with the structural for one single circuit called full adder. Now, how to describe the full adder using a behavioral model, how to have a sequence there that you can see here. This is the entity. Entity is already familiar with you, architecture F2. We have purposefully named it as F2 because we had that architecture F1 for the full adder with the data flow model. Now, this FE underscore BM is for behavioral model. Now, here you can see architecture begin, then we have this statement called process. In VHDL, whenever we use the term process, whenever we use this keyword process, then we are telling the simulator that from now on, you follow the sequence. As I've been telling the analogy of Ravana and Kumbhakarna. So to Ravana, from now on, we are telling to Ravana that you have to follow a sequence now. Even though you have 10 heads, we are going to give you meals one after the other. So that is the mechanism, or that is the method in which this keyword is going to be utilized. As soon as the simulator comes across the word process, then it goes to execute the statements one after the other. So now here you can see case D in is. We are using a case statement here. Case D in is when 0, 0, 0, D out is assigned to 0, 0. When 0, 0, 1, D out is assigned to 1, 0. When 0, 1, 0, D out is assigned to 1, 0. Like that, you can see here 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1 is carry. 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 is sum, because we have declared them here as vectors. You can see here D in standard underscore logic underscore vector 2 down to 0, and out standard logic underscore vector 1 down to 0. So here input is 3-bit vector and output is a 2-bit vector. That is how we have declared it. That's why here we are using a case statement. So what does it mean? This is a sequential execution, which simply means we are describing the full adder in terms of its truth table. We are not using the Boolean expression. So when we use the truth table, we need not express it again through any Boolean operations, because for a corresponding input sequence, we have a corresponding defined output sequence. So this is case when others null, means if at all there are other logics apart from 0 and 1. As you already know, the standard underscore logic underscore 1164 is having 9 values for each input. So if at all it is having other inputs, it should be null. We are not giving those inputs as such, but we are telling the compiler and the simulator that if at all there are other values, output is null. Then case, end case, process, end process, architecture, and architecture. This is the code for full ladder in the behavioral model. Similarly, the test bench for D in, we give it is a 3-bit vector, we give this 3 bits at a time. Now coming to Verilog program. In between, if you have any questions, you can stop me and ask me. Otherwise, I'll presume that you are understanding this method and I am proceeding. Coming to the Verilog program. Module fe underscore bm d in comma d out. Here also input 2:0 d in. This is how we define in Verilog. Here also d in is a 3-bit vector. Output is a 2-bit vector, but output is a reg here. In Verilog, we have declared output as a register because the output value should remain until that simulation is running. It should be stored there. If this is not given, then there can be a syntactical error there. Later on we will see. So always at D in. See, just like in VHDL we had process, here we have always. And I'll show you, here we have this process and inside we have this sensitivity list. Please remember, we have a port list which is separate and here we have a sensitivity list. That means the process is sensitive to change in D in. Similarly, here in always we have this sensitivity list. Always at D in. That means whenever D in changes, the always block gets executed. So always at D in begin. Again case statement, case D in 3 apostrophe B000, D out is assigned to 2 apostrophe B00. That means 3-bit 000, D out is assigned to 2 bits 00. So that B is binary and 3 is the position. So accordingly, for all the 8 input combinations, we have defined the output bits. End case, end module, then we have this test bench. So let me now copy this code, Verilog code, into the Xilinx tool. Test bench will remain the same. What I will do is now, in this main module, I will just copy this code. I am copying that code now, Verilog code. I will show you later on. Okay, I'll have to remove that test bench also. Let me close this GUI. And now let me share. Now let me share the Xilinx ISC. So here you can see I have copied that Verilog code with behavioral description. You don't worry about all these indentations because I copied directly. It has come like this. It has not come so structured in the way in which I showed in the Okay, because of the network issue here, the recording was paused. Now I am resuming it. Now let me add the stimuli. So the very first stimulus is not given 0, 0, 0 is not given because here it is already initialized here 0. Let it be like that. Now let me save it. Now let me come back and check syntax. You can see the green tick mark. Now let me check syntax this test bench. Now let me simulate behavioral model. There will be a minor difference now in the simulation window. I will show you now. Stop sharing ISC and then I'll start sharing the waveform window. So can anyone tell me what is the difference in the simulation window now and why is it coming that way? Can anyone tell me? You are seeing the difference now, but why is it coming? Can you tell me? I hope people are listening. Earlier we saw all individual waveforms, but here now we are not seeing the individual waveforms. Instead, we are seeing a bus here. So can you tell me why? Anybody? Students are very smart. They want to remain only silent spectators or silent listeners or what? Fine. If we ask you to talk in the class on all other things, you will spend hours together talking about IPL cricket match or talking about movies or varied other things. When we expect you to talk on actual technical matters or learning matters, everybody remains silent. That is the funny thing about our students. Anyway, you may be knowing the answer and you may be expecting me only to tell anyhow. Why should we waste our time in telling him? That way you may be thinking. But why I am asking you is that at least some students should respond with me. It should not remain only a one-way interaction. That was my intention. You can see here, because we have declared it as a vector in our programs, it is displaying this output as a vector only. That's all. Vector is a bus here. It is like a 3-bit bus and a 2-bit bus. But you can verify it is for some. All the 3 input combinations are, all the 8 input combinations are there here, right? From 0, 0 till 1, 1, 1. You can see for the sum it is 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 1, 1, 1. It is continuing that way. So you can verify the output bits there. So it is 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 like that. For sum, for carry it is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. It is like that. So let me stop sharing here. Let me share the lab manual once again, where we go to the third description. So till now we had seen the behavioral description now and the data flow description earlier. Now you know the difference between both of them. Behavioral is always generally following a sequence, whereas data flow is concurrent in general, and data flow description is going to use the algebraic expressions, whereas the behavioral description is generally going to follow the truth table. Coming to the third or the last description, that is called structural model. As you already know, structural model is a model in which a bigger block can be described by means of the smaller sub-blocks. Now, a full adder can be described using two half adders. You are seeing the picture on the screen, and you can see that there is one half adder, there is one half adder, there is one OR gate, and using two half adders, we are going to have a full adder. You know that a half adder will not have carry input. Half adder will have only these two input bits. So you can see here, the expression for the sum in case of a half adder is A XOR B only. Whereas the expression for carry is A into B. It is one AND gate and it is one XOR gate. Now using these two half adders, we can declare a full adder by means of this arrangement. You can see that A, B, C. So sum is here A XOR B. A XOR B XORed with C. So that is sum is A XOR B XOR C. Now as far as carry is concerned, here AB, you are getting the carry here. This is one term came here out of the SOP. SOP will have three terms here, AB plus BC plus AC. So you have this one term here. Now the sum itself is connected here to this other half adder. So it is now input here is actually A XOR B. And A XOR B is having this C. So A XOR B into C. But if you write a truth table for A XOR B into C, and if you write a truth table for A plus B into C, you will get the same output there. You can verify this. You can verify. What I am telling is A XOR B into C is equal to A plus B into C. Okay. So that way you will have two terms here. If this is having that AB, then BC plus AC is going to come here. Two terms are going to come here. So that XOR's operation is check that also. So that is how using full adders and using one OR gate, we are getting the carry term here. This is AB plus BC plus AC. Now we are defining the whole of the full adder using two half adders, which means what? We can have a small program for half adder and we can have its two instances now. We can write only one half adder and we can use it twice. So this is called structural model full adder using half adders. So let me show you the VHDL program. I don't think I'll have to simulate this and show you the output because output is going to be same again because the logic is the same. Anyway, let us see that later on. You can see this VHDL program. Entity half adder. You can see entity half adder, XY is input and sum and carry are output. SM and CY are the names given here, that is output. And half adder, architecture F4 of half adder is now sum is X XOR Y and carry is X and Y. This is the logic of half adder, right? Now this is half adder program. And we need one more OR gate program, right? Half adder program we have written here. Now library IEEE use IEEE std underscore logic all. Entity OR is port P comma Q in standard logic or out standard logic because we want an OR gate here now. and its inputs have to be having a different identifier names. That is why they are given as PQR. Now architecture of this OR gate is begin, R is assigned with P or Q. That's all. This is the VHDL statement and OR gate. Finally, we have seen this half adder program and the OR gate program. Now we are coming to the full adder program. So library IEEE, use IEEE.std_logic_all, ST entity FASM is port ABCI in standard logic, SCO out standard logic. And you can see everywhere we have used different terms. You can see here we have used XY and some SMCY. Then we have used PQ and R. Here we are using ABCA and SCO. You should be careful while you are declaring the input output ports. Otherwise, there will be a conflict in the identifier names. So here entity FASM is port, ABCI in, SCO out, and that is the end of the entity. Architecture F3 of FASM is, now we have to declare something called component in VHDL. In Verilog, the style is slightly different. In VHDL, the style is slightly different. In the theory class, I had discussed about the usage of this word component. So this is one data type. So component HA_DF is that we have already declared here, right? In the program we have declared. We are calling it now here. We are calling it as a component. Port XY, SMCY, we are declaring once again end component. Now component OR gate, PQ in standard logic and R out standard logic. We have to define it once again in VHDL. In Verilog, this process is quite slightly simpler. Anyway, leave it. Now signal T1, T2, T3, std_logic. Can anyone tell me why these T1, T2, T3 are required? Can anyone tell me? I'll show you the diagram once again. Can anyone tell me now why these T1, T2, T3 are required? Look at this diagram. This has got the answer. I expect that somebody will answer. Somebody should answer at least. Oh, as usual, students are so silent. I doubt whether you people are listening to me or not. Are you really listening to me? At least for that you answer. Okay, at least one student has answered. T1 is A, T2 is B. No, not exactly. Not exactly. At least I appreciate your effort, but it is not exactly that way. You can see these three wires here. You can see this one wire, this one wire, this one wire. These are the three internal wires, right? Now, this whole block of full adder contains three inputs and two outputs, ABC and some carry. But internally, we have connected three components now. And we can always declare C as input to this particular half adder, A and B as inputs to the second half adder. But we have to connect the output of this half adder to the input of this half adder. So we need one wire here. Similarly, this output of this half adder should be connected to the OR gate input. This is one more wire and this is one more wire. We require these three wires here. Without the wires, how do we connect them together? For such connection, we require those three signals in VHDL. In Verilog also, we will be using them directly as wires. I'll show you later on. So let me come back now. You can see here signal T1, T2, T3 standard logic because they also can have 9 values. Now begin A1 HA underscore DF port map A comma B comma T1 comma T2 and A2 HA underscore DF port map T1 CIS and T3. You can see this here. This is how for the first half adder we called it at A1. You can give any name here. Actually this A1, A2, A3 they are called as instance names and this process is called instantiation. You can see that half adder is having now two instances, A1 and A2 are the instances. We have declared half adder only once, but we can use it any number of times in the program now. We can create multiple instances of half adder, as many as we require. There can be 100 instances, there can be 1000 instances. A1 till A100 also we can define if our project requires them. But for each half adder we have a port map. You can see A, B, T1, T2. A and B correspond to input, T1, T2 correspond to those outputs. You can see here. This is that A, B and we call this as now T1 and T2. In our final module, we are calling them as T1 and T2 because they need to be connected to the next stage. So this is now A, B, T1, T2. Similarly, second half adder is T1, CIS, T3. You can see here. Now this is T1, this is now CI, and this is now S, this is now T3. Now that T3 we will connect it to OR gate. So the third instance is OR gate A3, OR and port map CO T2 T3. You can see here. It is carry out T2 T3 because that is how it is defined here. In the OR gate you can see output is defined there, out standard logic. So that way this is the port mapping sequence. And we have these three instances where two instances are of half adder itself. This is a structural model. Test bench is the same. Now let me come to Verilog program. In the Verilog program, oh, I forgot to show you the synthesis output, right? Later on I'll show you. Because synthesis does not require simulation, I can simply copy the code there and then I can check syntax and I can show the RTL schematic. That I'll do at the end. Now look at the Verilog program. Module half adder XM, XY, SMCY, input and output, assign sum is equal to X XOR Y, carry is equal to X and Y, end module. This is half adder. Next OR gate. Module or PQR, input PQ, output R, assign R is equal to P plus Q. This is the pipe symbol and module. OR gate is over. Now in the next module, third module, you can see there are three modules here now. And in the third module, it is calling both of these modules now. So module FA, AB, CI, SCO, input ABCI, output SCO, wire T1, T2, T3. You can see this. This is now declared as wire T1, T2, T3. Now HA is directly declared here, unlike in VHDL. In VHDL there was a lot of typing work there, component and again components for declarations and then instantiation, all that was there. Verilog is quite simpler in its typing. So you can see directly HA is used here. That HA is this one only, module HA. The name of the module is used here and its instance is told here I1. That means instance means it is one copy of half adder with the port map AB, T1, T2. Even the port map is not mentioned, simply inside the parenthesis if we declare it in that sequence, that is enough. So you can see Verilog is typing wise, it is a simpler language. There is no need to type a lot of text matter here. Similarly, half adder I2 and T1 CIS T3. Finally, OR gate R underscore M I3 instance 3 T2 T3 CO, that is end module. You can give these instance names in any which way. It does not matter. It is up to our convenience that we are giving these instance names. I have given I1, I2, I3 here and there I have given A1, A2, A3. That also can be changed, no problem at all. Finally, we have the test bench for the structural modeling. and this is the result of the simulation outputs. Okay, this we have already seen. Now let me stop sharing this and let me show you the RTL schematic. Going back to Project Navigate. Let me close the test bench. It is of no use for us now. Now let me come to implementation, where you can see this data flow model. Let me do one thing. Let me go through the sequence only. That means, let me first copy the data flow models code, Verilog code, and let us see hardware wise what difference does it make. So I have copied the data flow code now. I will not change the file name in any which way because it is only for our sake of curiosity. We want to see the synthesis output. So there is this program here now. Now let me check syntax. It will take some time because when I say check syntax, it is going to synthesize also. And you will see the tick mark there. Because if I have to see RTL schematic, I will have to synthesize. Let me see whether it will automatically do it. Yeah, it is automatically doing it. You can see running synthesis there. Okay, start with the schematic of the top level block. I think you are able to see this. Are you able to see this? I think it is in ISC only, right? It has not opened any other window. Yeah, I think you are able to see this. Now you can see it has created a block called FA underscore DFM, where ABCI are 3 inputs and COS are 2 outputs. Let me double click on this. When I double click on this, let me zoom out. See, you are seeing one AND gate, one more AND gate, and one 3 input OR gate, and you will see one mux here, one more mux here. When I double click on that, I'm not going to see anything else because this is now RTL description. RTL stands for register transfer level. I think I have told you in the last class about the difference between RTL and HDL, right? Otherwise also I have told about it in detail in the theory class. All RTL is HDL, but all HDL need not be RTL. Test bench is not RTL, it is only HDL because test bench is not going to be synthesized. Delays are not going to be synthesized. Whereas the full adders program, whatever I have written now, is completely RTL. It has to be RTL because ultimately we want a hardware out of it. So this is the RTL schematic where XOR is going to be implemented by means of a multiplexer only. Because what is register transfer level? Inside the Xilinx library, there are registers. Registers means the software's registers. In those registers, there are some library elements. In general, they have the CLB, configurable logic blocks. Many times they contain lot of multiplexers. So in general, using multiplexers, many logic functionalities can be implemented. So here XOR gate is implemented using a multiplexer only. One more XOR gate is also implemented using a multiplexer only. That is what is A XOR B XOR C. It is showing as the output. This is RTL schematic. Let me show you the technology schematic now. So in the technology schematic also, at the top you are seeing only this block diagram. Let me double click on this. Let me zoom out. Now you are seeing here one buffer, here one buffer, here one buffer, one more buffer, and you are seeing two LUTs. Let me simply zoom. Anyhow, you have seen this block now. Now let me zoom. You can see these two, CO1 LUT3 and S1 LUT3. LUT3, LUT means lookup table, and 3 means it is having these 3 inputs and 1 output. Again here 3 inputs, 1 outputs. This LUT3 is a standard library element that is available with Xilinx, which is going to be implemented on FPGA later on. So even though they look identical, one is for sum, one is for carry. Let me double click on this. When I double click on this, you will see this circuit diagram. See, what is the circuit diagram now? AB plus BC plus AC, right? You can see this. This is the carry out circuit diagram. Here you have AB, and then here you have BC, and here you have AC. So AB plus AC plus BC. We have 3 AND gates and 2 OR gates, and equation is this: AB plus BC plus AC. This is the truth table. This is the K-map. So this is the schematic. So inside that LUT, inside this lookup table, the carryout functionality is implemented. More about LUT will be discussed only in the theory class. You will have to wait until 4th module when we discuss these concepts. Coming to the second LUT, that is also LUT3 only, right? It is also having 3 inputs only. Obviously, it should have 3 inputs and 1 output only. But look at that. What is this having? Look at this. What is this now? It was supposed to be a 3 input XOR gate, right? It is actually a 3 input XOR gate. 3 input XOR gate implemented using only AND gate, OR gate, and inverter. As I told you earlier, inside the FPGA, basically these 3 elements only: AND gate, OR gate, and inverter. Basically these 3 elements. Using these 3 only, anything can be implemented, right? All SOP is basically what? Sum of products is basically what? AND gate, OR gate, and inversion. That's all. So the 3 input XOR gate, even though you simply write it as 2 XOR gate symbols and finish it off, but internally it is much more complicated. That's why I was telling even in the theory class that whenever we add 2 4-bit numbers or 8-bit numbers, we have to think about those many XOR gates. Now in computation, in electronics, in signal processing, in almost every electronic hardware or even in computer hardware, we are extensively using adders and multipliers. Wherever we have multipliers, they are made up of adders, because what is multiplication? Multiplication is repeated addition. Wherever we have adders, we have XOR gates. And XOR gate, even though we write an XOR gate using a simple symbol, internally XOR gate is having a much larger circuitry. Simply we may write A XOR B is equal to AB bar plus A bar B, but it is going to contain more gates. Now you can see the schematic of a 3 input XOR gate, which is having these many gates as such. But inside the FPGA, they are not implemented in this way also. They are implemented using CLB, configurable logic blocks. There are logic elements available inside FPGA. Through them only the XOR gates are going to be implemented. But why I am showing you all these things is you should appreciate the way in which the tool understands our code and correspondingly it produces a hardware. This is the output of synthesis. So synthesis has to be powerful this way. You can see this. Expression for this is what? 3 input XOR gate expression is this now. You can see inversion here, inversion here, inversion, inversion, here inversion, inversion. It is a 3 input XOR gate, and this is the truth table. This is the K-map. It's a 3-input XOR gate. So this is the technology schematic of our data flow description. Now let me come back. Let me close these two. Let me remove this code and let me copy the behavioral description code. I have copied the behavioral descriptions for the full adder. Now let me check syntax. Now green tick mark has come. Let me view RTL schematic. You can see this block. Let me double click. Let me zoom out. You will see the same blocks here now. This 3-input OR gate with buffers added, AND gate, and muxes. As far as RTL is concerned, you will not see any changes because RTL is register transfer level. Technology schematic basically means that whatever is going to be implemented finally inside the FPGA, that complete logic. So technology schematic, let us see. You can see this because we have declared it as vector here now. D in 2 is to 0, D out 1 is to 0 is coming here. Let me double click and let me zoom out. Again, you will see those two blocks of LUT. Now let me double click on LUT. You will see this XOR gate and let me double click on this LUT. You will see this XOR gate. Here you are seeing XOR gate. There you are seeing that AB plus BC plus CSA. I'm sorry. I kept on saying XOR gate there also. No. So this is same for the behavioral description and for the data flow description. The technology schematic and the RTL schematic are same. Now let me try the last one, that is structural description. Let me completely copy the code. Copy the Verilog code. Okay, this is the complete code. And you can see inside the code there are 3 instances now, I1, I2, I3, that is half adder instances that we have seen already. Now let me check syntax. Screen is not visible, is it so? Is my screen not visible? What about others? Because I have not stopped sharing it. I am sharing the same ISC navigator. What about others? Okay, it is visible. Then Sagar, you better log out and log in again, or you go through the recording anyhow. I am recording this session. Okay, now it is visible. Okay, fine. Now check syntax I have done. Let me click on RTL schematic. So in the RTL schematic, as usual, you are seeing the block. Let me double click. You will see the same block again. Just a minute. I am getting a call here. Anyway, I have a meeting scheduled at 3 o'clock. That is why he's calling me. Anyway, I'm going to end this session within 2 minutes. So let me not stop this now. You are seeing the same output here. So nothing special in RTL schematic. Let me go to technology schematic. So in the technology schematic, you will see this 2 LUT, right? You are seeing this 2 LUT. Let me click on this LUT. You will see the same thing there. Let me click on this LUT. You will see the same thing there. Which means you write the code in any which way, the synthesis output is going to be the same. That is the wonder of synthesis tool. We wrote the Verilog code in 3 different styles, but ultimately whatever is available inside the library as the logic elements, that is going to be picked up by the synthesis tool, and that is how it has connected it, irrespective of our way of describing. So I have shown you the synthesis output of this structural description code now. With that, I am coming to the end of today's class. I will stop recording, but my colleague Richard would have already posted the assignment in the Google class, and the attendance link also would have been shared there. Meeting will be on. You will have to write today's observation book. You will have to write all the 3 codes now. Because only when you write the code, you will remember the code. You will have to write all the 3 codes and then you submit it in the Google class. Meeting will be on, but I'll stop recording and I'll stop sharing.